is the drummist for this band, and he's rocking out to his own song. Why not?
I haven't heard that in years, man.
Oh, yeah? Well, you haven't played in a while. Nobody's played any music in a while, unfortunately.
That's for sure.
So,
unfortunate.
Yeah. So, welcome to the show, man. I don't think we've ever met in person. But man, out of all the drummers that I've spoken to, that I know personally, that I've hung with backstage, dude, you are the guy that, like, you're known as, like, the drummer's drummer. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Oh, man. I love drumming, and I'm a fan of yours, by the way.
Thank you.
And it's an honor to be on the show, man. Thank you for having me. Wow.
But dude, you really are. I mean, you know, it's like a unanimous thing. I didn't take a scientific poll. You know, I don't follow the science. I just follow my ears. And when I talk to people and they talk about drummers, you're a name that always pops up. Like I said, a drummer's drummer. Is that for you? Is that the highest compliment, or is it still really more about the fans?
Oh, it's a great compliment if your peers recognize you. You know, like in Godsmack, you know, Sully's the guy that's recognizable, and I really value the anonymity that I have. Like, I'll give you an example. I on days off on tour, I'll usually I like to be alone, and I like to go to the mall. So I'll take like an Uber to the mall, right, and try and find an FYI or something, and some books and whatever. And one time Sully's like, dude, let me go with you. And I'm like, all right, dude. So we went to the mall, and like within 10 minutes we were surrounded. It was a meet and greet, like, you know what I mean? And not that I don't love our fans and all that, but you know, sometimes especially when you're on tour doing 5 nights a week or whatever, it's nice to like be anonymous, man, and be able to go and just be a dude and get a book or whatever. But yeah, but when my peers say it, like one time, here's a fanboy story. I was at the NAMM show, which you know what that is. It's like a big
I've been there,
music
yep.
seller thing in LA. NAMM show. It's fun, right? And you see all these rock stars and shit, and it's cool. But and so I was walking and I heard, "Hey, Shannon." The dude said my name, right? I turned and it was Chad Smith, and he's like one still to this day. You know, I think probably my favorite living drummer. You know. And he goes, "Hey, Shannon." And I turned around, it was Chad Smith. And I go, "Chad Smith," you know? And he's like, "Yeah, dude, I read your article in the Modern Drummer," or whatever. And that was like, made me realize, oh my God, like if that dude knows my name, that's so rad, you know?
Yeah.
Very appreciative, very appreciative.
No, and listen, Shannon, and that's part, and by the way, your dog, what's your dog's name? Because your dog's beautiful.
Stella.
Because I grew up. Is that a yellow lab, golden lab?
No, she's a golden retriever.
Yeah. So I grew up with a dog that looked just like that, named Sundance. So there we go. We have something in common. We both grew up have dogs with S that begin with the name S that are retrievers. So anyway, I got sidetracked from your Chad Smith story, But yeah, that's the thing. It's is yes, if you're recognized by your peers, but it also shows, Shannon, that you're still a fan of the music, which I think is so important. And I think you see that with musicians who are still fans of other musicians. You still keep that joy in your music as well.
Dude, you're an East Coast guy. Like I was geeking out on TT Quick guy. You know, I was like, wow, man, my band Rothschild, man, I'm East Coast, you know, and my band Rothschild basically came up. We opened for Accept on at Lemoore, Brooklyn Lemoore, on Restless and Wild and Metal Heart tour.
Wow.
At my band Rothschild, and we played multiple shows with TT Quick back in the day, probably at Lemoore, but somewhere in the city. And those dudes were rad. And like, I was sitting here geeking out that dude is in Accept. I didn't know he was in Accept. So I was like, oh my God, that's a guy from TT Quick. That's rad, man. Anyway, yeah, I mean, if you're not a fan of music, then you shouldn't be in a band. That's the way I look at it, because, you know, we all are just trying to create what got us off as kids.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, so for your influences, were you into, the drummers like the Neil, Pearts and all those kind of guys, or who were your? Yeah, he's your guy. All right, there you
I
go.
mean, it was, listen, man, I have a great story because my older sister, rest her soul, she passed last year of cancer.
Oh man, sorry.
But anyway, Shelley, and I was, I started really, really young liking music. And so I would get my parents to give me those K-Tel records, off the TV back then. That shows my age. And so I'd get the K-Tel records. They have like the Funky Worm and Ohio Players, whatever. But then you'd have a Kiss song. You might get lucky and get a Kiss song, right? So anyway, my sister, who was 2 years older than me, came in my room one day and I'm cranking, I don't know, the Streak or some shit. And she's like, your music sucks, and listen to this record. And she gave me Neil Peart's Hemispheres on red vinyl, which I have to this day, and her name's written on it because back then you take your record to the party. This is probably 79 or I was probably years old, whatever. And oh my God, when I heard Hemispheres by Rush, and that was it, man. And like, it wasn't even like I'm going to be a drummer, but I knew I wanted to just I wanted to make this music. And then I wore that record out. And when I said, hey, sis, what's next? What do you got for me? And she gave me Zeppelin 2. And that's when I was like, I listened to that record and then over and over and over. And John Bonham called to me and I'm like, I'm going to be a drummer, man. And never done anything else my whole life. I was playing the clubs by the age of 12 and I've just been drumming all my life, man.
It's fun.
So I'm so
yeah, no, man, it's crazy, man. Because there's such different drummers, but you do hear from a lot of drummers that it's Peart and it's Bonham, but yet they are so different. So maybe it's if you like both of them, you sort of get the best of both worlds stylistically, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and the 80s happened and along came Lars and Dave Lombardo in my life. And I'd already fortunately had Motorhead at a young age because all the dudes in my band, I was 12, I was like this kid, but of course my band was 16 and 17-year-old dudes. So they turned me on to the Sabbath and the Motorhead, all the remember Gem Records imports, like Gem Records. And you would, back in the day, you would get Gem Records, and it was like that new wave of British heavy metal, that not many people were digging yet here, like Saxon and Motorhead and, Riot and those kind of bands, that we were all playing. But
you had to get the import, right?
Yes.
Remember, you couldn't.
So anyway,
yeah, you had to get the import sticker on it.
I got the Gem import sticker, white and orange. Yep. And but it's trippy. I can hear my voice coming back at me a second later. It's wild. It's like I'm having a flashback or something. But anyway, yeah, I've been getting. Oh wow, now I got a robot voice. I got a robot voice. It's this new technology.
It's a Zoom world, my friend. There's
You are rad, dude. I like your hair long. I haven't seen you since that metal show. I mean, on TV, you know what I mean?
I know.
Like, I never saw you.
I can't afford a haircut. I'm not on TV anymore, so, but... But you're...
Anyway, come out and hang with me, man. Come see a show sometime, either band.
Well, yeah, I want to talk...
I'd love to meet you in person.
Yeah, me as well, man, because along with... people praising your drumming, they just also talk highly about you as a person. I actually flew through Logan Airport, man. I don't know if you're in Massachusetts right now, but I flew through to go up and do a gig in Maine a couple weeks ago, and man, that was heavy seeing Logan so dead and quiet, man. Just walking straight through there, man. It was very strange, bro. Now he's frozen.
Ma'am.
Okay, there he is.
You
froze for a second.
I got. It says my internet connection is unstable. Like, it's fitting. Anyway, listen. The whole band followed me. I moved here 13 years ago. Next came Ron Bola, our guitarist, like 3 years after me. And next came Robbie, our bass player. And then Sully, our singer, just bought a house 7 miles. So we are officially a Florida band.
Okay, you're all in Florida now. Okay, good, good. All right, cool. Good to know. Well, it's
warm.
It's bustling down there, right?
It's warm, man. It's warm. I grew up in, like I said, up northeast coast too, and shoveled snow. I would shovel snow or rake leaves just to get that next cymbal replaced that I'd break every week.
Yeah, and Shannon, that's paid off for you over the years because obviously, Spotify does their year-end roundup. They do their streaming stats, and people post them proudly. And Godsmack's came out, and we're gonna take a look at how your 2020 was. Because let's face it, in general, 2020 has been pretty shitty for everybody, but streaming wise, not too bad there, brother. 201.6 million streams of Godsmack. Is that sort of where you guys are on a yearly basis? Is it more? Is it less? Or do you even know?
Yeah, man. I guess I don't. That's unbelievable, man. I can't believe that. I always think of it too. It's like, just kids like I was sitting in their room, smoking pot and listening to my music and my band. It's really deep and cool. It's something, man.
Well, I would.
It's something to be in the same band now for. I'm 19 years in this year,
Yep.
and like, to continue to be successful at all, let alone have 200 streams and stuff, but to be able to be a musician, man,
Right, I get
it's
it.
the best.
No, I know.
Best, like Elvis started it or whatever. I got the American dream, man. I'm just in this world right now of negativity, man. This has been like our best year ever. We're so lucky and blessed to have the timing. It was all about the timing, Like, I feel bad. Imagine if you're that band that just got done your new record and you got a second quarter release in 2020, and boom, you are. I don't know if you can cut this pod show, but you know what you are.
No, you say whatever you want, brother. You are fucked. Yeah, it's true, man.
Yeah.
So 200 plus million streams, which roughly works out to about $1.97 in revenue from Spotify. But like you said, it's you're just happy to be playing, man. That's the other stat that struck my eye was 92 countries streamed Godsmack music, which, I don't know how many countries there are. I mean,
that's a lot of damn countries.
But it's still a lot, right? 92 countries.
We hit over 20 countries in Europe last year, or in 2018 and 2019. 3 times went over there and just toured for the first time in, I think, 8 years, but extensively, and did three tours, started in the clubs and then did the theaters and the bigger clubs and then festival run, you know what I mean? And it was unbelievable, man. I mean, we didn't know that we had such a loyal fan base in Europe, and because we don't sell many records over there, so we figured, we're not that big, whatever, but there's certain countries that we do really well in. And surprisingly over in like Russia and, oh my God, Czech Republic and Poland, and those shows were just off the cuff, like we felt like rock stars or something. Like, we get off the bus and there's all these people there, hey, hi, and it was like, wow, whoa. Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah, you can't take Sully to the mall when you go to Poland, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But 92 countries, is there any, because, it was funny, I was talking with Mark about it, and he said, we went to Australia and people brought TT Quick albums. Is there a part of the world that Godsmack really, that you feel you haven't penetrated yet? That you like to?
Australia's one.
Okay. No. They're too busy listening to TT
We've
Quick.
been to Australia. And we did that. But when we headlined, it was like clubs, and so we have like gotten major success there. But people seem to know us now. If you have 20 years of just keep on doing it and touring, and the problem with Australia is that like you have to same thing with Europe. You have to keep going back, and we're an American band, and like I'd say for the first 10 or 15 years. We toured over there with Black Sabbath, opening for them, and then we opened for Metallica on a European tour, and then we never like went back because we felt that it's almost a political thing because like Universal was our label, and they really kicked ass and were the best label for us in America, and they always were behind us. But in Europe, each country has a different Universal record, so it's not like one company. It's like so every country, and so some of them, we'd be open for Metallica, the biggest metal band, the greatest metal band of all time, and they were selling out, 50 and 60,000. It was just them and us too.
Yeah.
And we would look in the pit, and there wouldn't be one photographer, like no press, nothing. And we're like, well, no wonder no one knows who we are. But yet, they all come early. The fans came early, and so everybody we're playing in front of like 50,000 people. And then we'd come back to that town, play a club, and draw 500 people. So we're like, okay, Europe just doesn't like us. So, but yet we were having all this bad success in America, and America really seemed to like us. So we just focused on America for like literally 8 years. And we just said, well, we don't need to go to Europe, man. And so, but then as happens to bands that keep going and like the Energizer Bunny, we started, I guess, to get a fan base over there, and people, then it was word of mouth, and we're like, so now we're like an underground kind of band. That's a cool band, but we're not broke though. Like in America, we broke in America, and it's because of radio. That's why radio has just been so kind to us and accepted us. And, even though we put records out since Faceless every 4 years, methodically on purpose. And so, we'll tour for a year and a half to 2 years, as much as we can tour because we love to tour. And so, and then take our time the whole year to write a record and take our time,
Yeah.
And so I think, so we've kind of flown under the radar, as far as like being, like recognizable, like Motley Crue or something, you recognize any four of those dudes, anywhere. But with Godsmack, it's basically Sully that gets recognized, and believe me, we're really cool with that,
No, I get it, man, and that it's funny, and I know that the Motley tour was, other than inspiring a great song, probably it didn't end up being the greatest tour in the world for you guys. But I will say, for me, that's where I really became a fan of Godsmack, because being a Motley fan since I'm 16, and I always love what I would consider sort of offbeat pairings. That Godsmack was on tour with Motley. I thought, wow, what a weird combination. I had never seen you guys live, and it was in Jersey, and I got to say, man, you guys stole the show from Motley, and I had no problem saying that. I was like, hey, you know what? Not for nothing, but Godsmack, they tore it up that night, man. Motley could not follow for whatever reason it was that night. But maybe one of the good things that came out of that tour is you gain some new fans from some of the old school guys like me. Yeah. So every tour has its worth. Obviously, going out with Metallica is never going to be a bad thing. Now, and I want to do this without being. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Can I talk about this? Because,
sure. Talk.
That Motley tour was great.
Okay,
and,
good.
There was some conflict of ego, maybe, between that started before the tour even started, between my singer and their bass player. And so, but shit, man, I'm hanging out with Tommy Lee every night I saw him blow his hand up on that tour.
Oh shit.
And then they asked me, and they came to my hotel. This is just a quick aside, and then I'll finish, because that Motley tour was fun for everybody, man. You know, and then later on, you know, Nikki Sixx, oh, I guess they didn't have fun on the tour. Whatever, we had fun on the tour. You know, it was just there were certain things that pissed our guy off, and you know, and so he pissed their guy off, and then those guys are very strong-willed dudes.
Sure, sure.
And you know, and both of them are asses, and so that happened. But as far as the band goes, that's what I heard about when Six came out. Because man, I had the first Motley Crue record, by the way, on Leather Records.
Wow.
I still have my vinyl, man. But whatever, I was a huge Motley Crue fan. I mean, they're legends, you know. And so we were honored to go on, and all the bullshit that happened was just that bullshit. And so, like, it was really cool. At one point, you know, Mars called me to his dressing room, and he said, "Hey, man, you know, I might be doing a blues record after this tour, and if you'd be interested in maybe playing some drums or whatever." And I'm like, "Oh my God, yes, yes is the answer." You know, Mick Mars, who's one of the, you see that guy, he's like he's not even, he's like, you know, it's like seeing Santa Claus. He's like a mythical creature, you know.
He is.
And so I was just, and of course he never called. By the end of the tour, then everything's, oh, there, you know, there's a war going on between Motley Crue and Godsmack, and then the Cryin Like a Bitch thing. I'll tell you that I came up with Cryin Like a Bitch about Phillip Rivers because at the time I'm a Raiders fan, and so at the time when they got, yeah, so they go. It was like they needed the win to get in the playoffs, and at the end, you know, Phillip Rivers, of course, he threw the interception, whatever he did.
Yeah.
Because he whatever.
And he always did cry like a bitch, that guy. Yeah.
With a tear that glistening on his eye. You know, and Raider Nation was all crying like a bitch. There he is. And so I told Sully, "Oh my God, dude, write a song Crying Like a Bitch." And he was like, "That's rad," and he loved it. And you know, he's a lyricist of Godsmack, and that's his you know, vision and all. And so he wrote the song, you know. But I thought it was funny. It wasn't really like the rap guys. I don't think malicious. I think it was more, you know, just taking the piss, as they say.
Yeah, and listen, everybody reads into what they want to in a song, but that's this story is way better to me because I'm a big sports fan. So I would always look at Phillip Rivers when he didn't get his way, and I'd be like, man, he's such a little bitch. And so that song is absolutely perfect for him. And you mentioned the blues, and I want to get to this before we run out of time, because I got to listen to a couple of the songs. So besides being, you know, the drummer in Godsmack, besides, I think you're also do you manage bands as well? Is that is my memory fakakta, or is that true? No. Okay, I thought you were doing that, but besides that, you're doing a blues project, the Apocalyptic Blues Revival. There's a couple of songs out now. The record is coming out. You could tell us when. I'm not sure, but yeah, there's the record. This is really cool, man.
My intent, the Revival is my band. That's that. But I got the nickname the Apocalypse right from back in the days. When I was before I was in Godsmack, I was in a band called Amen from LA, and it was a punk band. We put 2 records out. Well, the first record came out produced by Rob Robinson on Roadrunner. And so at the same time, like, we literally collided with Slipknot in the studio. They showed up to Malibu where Ross was finishing a men's record 2 days early. And in Malibu at this house, unfortunately, that studio burned down. But it was a famous studio, Indigo Ranch, where Korn and Limp Bizkit and Ross Robinson basically did this thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, after Bizkit, you know, he got a Roadrunner to have his own label, and he signed my band Amen. So Slipknot and us, you know, became friends. We didn't even know they wore masks, those dudes. We hung out for 2 days. It was awesome. Anyway, long story short, we find ourselves, I'd say a year and a half later, now Slipknot is huge, And so, they took Amen on tour around the world with it. We did the whole world with Slipknot.
Wow.
And in arenas. And so, and anyway, it was it was like the year 2000 or 2001 or something. It was, and so we were all young and partied like you would not believe. Slipknot partied, and so did Amen. It was a mess, right? And I've been sober for over 4 years, by the way. But back then, and Joey Jordison gave me the nickname the Apocalypse. He's like, when he was going to come in with that look in my eye and enough whiskey in me, he'd be like, "Oh, everybody, here comes the apocalypse," right? And so I ended up getting it tattooed on my arm. This was in, like I said, 2001 or something. And so the nickname stuck with the people I partied with. Don't turn into the apocalypse, dude. And so that's why I called this side thing the Apocalypse Blues Revival.
Hey, while we're talking about it, let's play some of the video because it's, for fans of Godsmack, this is, and Sully did this. Sully put out a solo album, very different from Godsmack. I liked it a lot. I dig this a lot too. This is very different. Dude, this is a song called The Doorway. The video's available now. Man, I got a contact high checking out this tune, bro. This is trippy, man.
Thank you. I like trippy.
It's just really cool and different, This is, obviously another side of Shannon Larkin, but luckily not the apocalyptic side that we're talking about from way back then. There's a little more controlled Shannon Larkin here.
Yeah. It's it's definitely more drug induced than.
Yeah, it's just really kind of groovy and trippy, right?
I will say this. There's some, different feels on the record. It's like it's a semi-concept record. And so, there's some real heavy material on it and then some real bluesy material. Uh-oh. My internet connection is unstable like me again.
All right, well, we're gonna sign off in a minute here because the show's about to end. But this is very cool. When is this? Yeah, and there's only 2 songs available that I could find, Shannon. So when does the full record come out?
December 11th.
What is it?
December 11th is the record, and yeah, it's like. In Godsmack, I don't get to write the lyrics. Like I said, Sully, it's his thing. And I've been a lyricist all my life. And so that's really why I started the band and the love of blues and Pink Floyd.
Yeah, and yeah, it's such a cool thing, man. And so that'll actually this Friday it comes out. Of course, for the fans of Godsmack, you can go to Godsmack.com for all your Godsmack needs. If you want to support the band with merch, see what they got going on, whether there's any streaming things that are happening or whatever you want to do. Support the bands, obviously, that you love during this time while they're not out touring. Support the Apocalyptic Blues Revival, which is Shannon's Apocalypse Blues Revival with Shannon in charge there. His little side piece, which is a real cool and trippy thing. And dude, we got to do this again and just we'll talk about the new wave of British heavy metal. So let's do a part 2 sometime soon.
Let's do a metal episode. That's what I was thinking you were going to talk about metal, man, with me.
Right. Well, metal, but we'll do. That's why I said we'll do a part 2, and hopefully, if I book some shows down in Florida, man, I'm going to get in touch with you, man. You guys come out to the show and hang.
Please do. I will come for sure.
It's the only place that's open, brother. You guys are living it up down there. God bless, man. Stay safe and stay healthy, brother. See you later, man.
Thanks. You too, Don. Stay safe.
There he is. What a cool guy, man.